What is up? We are going old school with an evening edition of this week's episode of the Talking Shop podcast. All three are in attendance. We've got Michael, medium rare cards, got Jacob alone in his dark room. We're all kind of a little dim. I left the store lights off here and I'm going with lamps. So if you are here for the football break, I've got good news for you. You get to listen to our podcast first, and then the break, as you can see on the ticker, is going to be right after this podcast. So
that's the buy-in, right?
Yeah,
the buy-in part of the buy-in for the break is viewership.
Yeah, we tricked you guys into thinking this was the break. Ha ha ha! Now you have to listen to us talk shop for 45 minutes or so. Someone give them a rundown. What's this episode entail?
All right. For today's after hours version of the Talking Shop podcast, we are going to catch up on our weekend like we always do. And then we're going to, as Michael says, flip the script. What's the number one thing helping the hobby grow? In hobby news, the 2012 Tom Brady Black Finite 1 of 1 has supposedly surfaced. Josh, I want to hear what you have to think about that and if you think it's even real. Plus, the Diamondbacks owner Ken Kendrick's collection might be the greatest stack of cards ever, as we will see in a video. Dale Jr. has a hilarious autograph secret. The Rock, Travis Scott, and John Cena team up for a triple auto from Topps. Was it Topps now? And Gary Vee is bringing VeeFriends to Topps Chrome. As always, we'll cover what's new in the shop, some big hits, and a crazy stat. But first, how is everybody doing today?
It's good.
I don't know about everybody, but I'm.
So Josh will never say this out loud, so I'm going to expose him for this. Josh has been running the shop all day long, running on fumes, and then he's got a break. So,
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, no big deal. I'm not roofing houses or anything, but yeah, it's tiring because when you're the only guy in the shop all day long, you got to be up there even when people are browsing. So you got to be there, be available, talk to everybody. I'm comfortable now because I finally get to sit down. So this is good for me. Yeah, stay tuned for the card from the vault. It's actually going to be a customer's card that returned from PSA. We'll knock your socks off with one of these. I do have a stat or two for the end.
nice.
Like I said, the football break will be right after this as well. So I'm not going on. This is going to be a long day for me, but like I said, I'm not digging ditches or roofing houses, so I can't complain too much.
Well, I don't know about you boys. I enjoyed what felt like the first sort of inkling that spring is around the corner. Played some golf. It hurt. Golf hurts. When you're my age, golf hurts, man. But had a good time there.
Golf hurts.
It does hurt, man. But that was fun. Looking forward to spring. Are we doing are we doing daylight savings this year?
You're asking the wrong guy. I just kind of go.
I thought that they were squashing that. They've been trying to squash that for years.
I thought it got squashed in 2020, and then a lot more happened in 2020, and no one paid attention to daylight savings time.
Well, they can't stop it when they take an hour from us. They could stop it after we fall back and we get that hour back. I don't want them to stop it after they rip an hour of sleep out of my life. So.
According to Ryan, it's next week.
Oh, my goodness. All right.
Did anyone go to a card show this weekend? There was 3 in the area.
That's crazy.
We had a couple guys from the shop go to the Greenville show.
Okay.
I was here at the shop because our weekends are always busy. And I had customers and friends and stuff that went up to the Charlotte show. And all reports say they were all busy and did well. So I think that's I said you can't hardly throw a big card show in this market right now and it not do well. So
we're really blessed, right? I listen to other content creators in this space, and people are having to drive an hour to get to a show, or the shows at like a flea market or in an old abandoned mall where you're going to get like, got to run to your car. Like the venue, the venues and the spaces for the shows here, we're really spoiled, guys. Really spoiled. So, all right, Jacob, I saw this. Well, before we move off the card show thing, we've got one coming up in is it March or April at a different location?
Ours, our sponsored show that we do with Jeremy over at Top Sports Promotions is April 12th.
Okay.
Yeah, I should probably have a picture saved for that, but I'm going to make a post tonight and blast it out soon. We want to finish getting those tables filled. But yeah, we're a month and a week away, I think, from that one. Okay. And so it's in the church gym, just a different church this time. So keep your eye out for the flyer and the advertisement on it. It'll have the address on it. But yeah, that's about a month and a week away. So prepare for that.
How close is it to the shop?
It's in Fort Mill, so it's probably 15 minutes. Yeah, it's probably 15, 18 minutes from here. I've never been there. Jeremy went over and scoped it all out, so should be good.
All right. So Jacob, pull up this Facebook link because it said, what is the number one thing that has ruined the hobby? And I wanted to take a look at this, but we could talk about this all day long. I wanted to put a positive spin. Some of the comments are like grading, COVID. I don't know. COVID was sort of kind of good for the hobby.
So did y'all see that I commented on that?
No.
Oh, well, it's no surprise what my answer is if y'all have watched this podcast.
PSA.
No, I don't think that
breaking.
Yeah, big box breakers.
Yeah.
So
big
like Ryan, like me and Ryan are kind of on the same page here. Ryan says breakers. I'm torn. If you know me, I even break. We do a little breaking, but I think card shops breaking, and I guess I sound biased, but my answer is always the big box breakers. The ones that are gobbling up all the allocations and driving the wax prices all the way up. They're not driving it up because they choose to just decide we're gonna break Prism at $1,000 a box. No, it's just the demand in the distributors knowing that they can break this product for expensive, raise their prices. If breaking didn't exist, the majority of the country can't afford $1,000 boxes, so the problem fixes itself and those boxes go right back down to where they should be. It's the same way if you had a whole bunch of Coca-Cola sealed Cokes and you marked them $10 a bottle and put them out in your store, guess what? You're not going to sell any, and you're going to have to lower the price until people buy it. And so if breaking didn't exist and we put $1,000 boxes on the shelf, guess what? Those are sitting there forever until we say these need to get marked down to a point to where they finally. So that's it.
Well, Jacob, scroll through these before we flip the script here a little bit.
I like looking at the negative side of it. I think it's important to look at the negative side. I agree with COVID in the sense that COVID did a lot to help the hobby, but it did a lot to hurt the hobby.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, super breakers. So, but that comment is stupid. Super breakers getting hot boxes. They're not getting, trust me, I wish I could say that was true. They're not getting hot boxes. They're just breaking. And there it is. Breakers that get case upon case.
Yeah.
What about this 9 is worse than raw when it comes to grading?
I mean, that's not the hobby's fault, but that is true. Look at that. Breakers have been terrific for the hobby, but have also made it very unaffordable for many people. That's the point right there. If they can solve that, this hobby will explode even more.
Agreed.
What about this comment here by Luke?
The hobby isn't ruined at all.
Yeah,
it's probably Luke, more popular than ever.
He's a hashtag glass half full. I like it.
All right, so let's flip the script here. What's the number one thing that has made this hobby that when I was, in middle school, it exploded, and then the junk wax era sort of washed over it, and it became something to where there was a large population that were like, in 2019, 2017, 2018, they're like, what do you mean my cards are worth something now? So, what are the things that have made this hobby great? Making this hobby great again.
Kyle has a question. Kyle, we're going to answer this question after this because I do have an answer for your comment there. But as much as I hate to say this, I think Fanatics has really helped shine a spotlight on it. You know what I mean? Like they're also bypassing the distributor, which there are ways that it hurts me personally in that regard, but it's better to cut out the middleman and go straight to the hobby shop so that we can go to the customer. I would say the one thing that's ruined the hobby is, sorry, I go back to the ruin, but the manufacturers selling directly to the customer and almost not forcing them into hobby shops. And again, I sound biased because I have a hobby shop, but it's better for the industry as a whole when the customers have to go into a hobby shop to buy their products. But on the flip side, Fanatics has done a lot. I mean, their advertising, their marketing. I mean, that's a very catch-22 answer, I realize.
Yeah, for me, it is Fanatics related. For me, it is the hobby truly going as mainstream as we've seen it.
Yeah.
Where athletes are now being very public about collecting, athletes chasing their own cards. Jacob, you dropped it in the chat, our private chat, earlier today. The Marvel releases, not just the movies, but high profile shows are getting Tops Now releases. I think that's been the greatest thing for the hobby, is that it's mainstream. It's not just this. It's the stigma of just being a complete nerd. Well, maybe you can be a complete nerd, but being a nerd is really cool right now. So being able to nerd out over things and geek out over things is cool now. To collect something because you love it and then it happens to have value. I think that's the greatest thing that Topps Fanatics has brought is, and they're not the first ones. You've got Pop Century, you've got other manufacturers that go into pop culture and have taken it sort of to the mainstream market. But that, for me, that's the number one thing that's been positive, that's continuing to grow the hobby.
What complicates it is that with that comes the buying and selling and flipping and making money side of it. That, my biggest pet peeve, but I understand it, is people come into the shop and they're looking at the singles in the showcase and they're looking at the price and then they're doing this the whole time on their phone. And then they're comping, they're not collectors. There's not enough collectors. They're just, what can I buy from this case that I can get cheap enough to go sell it and make a profit? And, we've talked about this before, but all the 10 and 11-year-old boys that come in, are you buying? Are you buying? Hey, are you buying? Will you buy this? Will you look at are you buying? And it's like, none of them are collecting. They're just opening and buying to resell. And like I've said before, when I was 10 and 11 and we went into card shops, I bet you I guarantee you I never asked the card shop employee or owner, are you buying? I wasn't there to sell. I'm not a card shop. I'm not a businessman. We went into card shops back then to buy cards for our collection, to collect them. And we bought the expensive ones, not to resell it, but to add value to our collection.
Yeah.
And I guess in the back of your mind, you thought when you're 50, you're going to sell these cards and make a bunch of money, I guess. We didn't have the mentality of quick flipping it. And that's very, very rarely do I have people. Like, I go into a card shop. When we go back to Amarillo, I'll pop into a card shop What can I help you? I'm never looking for cards I can buy to resell. And that's what I do for a living. I'm in their card shops looking for Brady's to add to my collection. What do you have from Tom Brady? So there just needs to be more than that. I wish there was more of it, but I do say I understand. It's just the nature of it, like Ryan's saying, cardboard stock market. So that is, and if you want to be able to open up boxes and sell a big hit, you need buyers and you need people that, and you need a ton of people in the hobby, or else, you know what our moms used to say when we were little? We'd say, Mom, this card's worth $20. It's only worth 20 if someone will buy it. Because in her mind, there ain't no one out there that's going to buy that card for $20.
Right.
And now there is, and it's easy. So yeah. Another thing I was going to say that ruins the hobby is the internet, because back then you didn't realize there was 9 billion 1987 Topps Gary Bonds cards, because you had to drive an hour to a card shop to even see one. And so now you can sit on the toilet and order 10 of them for $1.
Ew.
And now we know how many are truly out there. But also the thing, you know what drove everyone away from the hobby, myself included, in the late 90s was what also has saved the hobby and made it good. It's the fact we all used to say there's just too many inserts. It used to be Topps would come out, you'd buy the Topps cards, you'd look the cards up, and there's the set and there's the price. Then there was Upper Deck, and then they added all the inserts and all the subsets and everything. And it got to the point where people were like, they're just doing too many of these inserts. I mean, that's exactly what drove me away from it. But without those, this hobby would have died, because you have a 700 card set. That's all they printed. That's all there was. There's no value there.
Yeah.
When everybody has the same cards eventually. And so you need all these, and the people that complain about all the 101s and all the parallels and all the variations, you have to have those with the amount of people that are opening and that are in this hobby now. Go to the National and that's a small percentage of actual collectors that can make it to a regional show. There's millions of people that don't go to the National that are deep into this hobby, and just the amount of people at the National you would think would keep this hobby going. And there's millions more. So you've got to have all that stuff. It feels like a little much, but.
Oh, that's an interesting point, right? You could take that list that people put down that's ruined the hobby potentially, and that's one side of the same coin. You can take that and say it's exactly what drives the hobby as well.
Yeah.
So
because they'll say breakers, some will say it's good, some will say it's bad, it's grown. Some will say COVID. I will say there were good things about that and there were bad things about it. Stuff that ruined it and stuff that saved it. And then inserts and parallels and 101s and too many. I mean, there's the same things that ruin it are the same things that make it great, and that's why there's such a variety of different collectors.
Well, guys, jump in on this. Whether it's on the negative side, what has ruined the hobby, or what makes the hobby great, let us know. Drop that in the comments. We'd love to see it. Josh, today was a release day. I don't know. You've been having releases on Thursdays lately, but what's hitting the shelves at Grand Slam this week?
Let's see. So today was Obsidian Football. I know that one. We got a couple things. Let me pull up the calendar and I'll refresh my memory. So today was Obsidian Football, which we have on the shelf here at Grand Slam. Friday, there's a few more things coming out. So Donruss Basketball for the 24-25 season. I think that's the third mainstream basketball product of this new class that's been out so far. Illusions Football is Friday. And FYI, if you like Illusions Football and don't want to buy a full hobby box or can't afford one, have I got news for you? I'm going to probably be tonight from my bed posting an Illusions Football break to break on launch day. So
nice.
The price isn't astronomical, so we'll be able to get, like, for $29 a spot, we'll be able to get 2 hobby boxes and probably a little extra something in there. So stay tuned for that. Prism LIV Golf comes out Friday. we're actually getting some of that.
Tens of people.
Are you familiar with this? I think we talked. There's a product, a customer told me about it, called Panini Prospect Edition Baseball. Did you see that, or are you familiar with it?
No, I'm sure it's in the same vein as like Stars and Stripes.
I think you're correct. So that comes out Friday as well. It looks like it's about $150 a box, and it is.
It's got to have a ton of autos for that.
6 autographs, 12 inserts or parallels, and 6 prospect ticket parallels per box. So it does feel very Stars and Stripey or extra, Elite Extra Edition type. So
yeah,
but that comes out Friday. We'll have that in the shop. So if you're interested in that, come by. There, Topps Finest Football. That is. I just realized that is this Friday as well. So
wow.
I
feel like Topps Chrome I feel like Topps Chrome just came out. Topps Finest is coming out right on top of it. Holy mackerel!
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's the 2024. We have it. We don't have a ton of it coming. I'm hoping I get a re-up on it for more, but looks like it's about $250 a box. But yeah, that comes out Friday as well. So interesting.
So Sleeve It Sports chiming in, excited for Live Golf. Any pricing? So don't quote me on it. I think, well, I could probably tell you here really quick.
You have video record to quote him on it.
I know. Well, Josh is looking at that. So I poo-poo this a little bit just because I'm a traditionalist and I'm a PGA Tour guy. But the dude that's driving Live Golf right now is like one of the most popular golfers in the world. His name is Bryson DeChambeau. And great personality. He's a good follow on all the socials. And if he's got autos in that, that's what's going to drive that product. So
yeah,
pretty excited.
Did you watch his episode where he rode along with Trump and golfed with Trump and they tried to break 40 or something? Yeah. What was it? The goal was break 40 or something like
break
that?
50.
Break 50. Okay.
Yeah. And so yeah, he does that. Let's see. If as much effort was put into car design and marketing for golf and tennis as they do for top sports, there would be a higher demand, in my opinion. I don't know. Those are still very niche sports. They've got a strong following, but I don't know if you have the numbers.
Like wrestling? Is that what you're going to say, Jacob?
Yep. It's right there with it. And you see how it's booming right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So remember we laughed about last week's release. I was like, Leaf Metal Poker. I was like, I doubt I have that coming. And then, of course, it shows up the next day. So we have Leaf Metal Poker but it's one of those like pickleball. And they've got the, what's the Power Slap? That's another product Leaf is doing. They got the Power Slap, Leaf Metal Power Slap.
Leaf just has fun with it. You can't knock them. They're having a blast.
Yeah. And you know what? I didn't sell the pickleball here in the store. And guess what? I put it on eBay and sold it all. So I sold a poker box today on eBay out of the store. So.
Well, if they're doing the Power Slap, those have to be action shots. Like, yes. Gosh, that hurts just watching it. All right. Yeah. Well, that is what's new in the shop. I think we've got a promo. Play the promo.
Are you looking to get your cards graded? Well, here at Grand Slam, we've simplified the process of submitting and getting a card graded. All you have to do is drop off your cards and kick your feet up, while our transparent tracking ensures that you are up to date with every detail along the way. When you log into our website, you'll immediately be greeted with each card in the grading process, along with where it's at in the process and its final grade. And with over 1,000 submissions and some of the top cards across the country being submitted through us, we have become a well-trusted source to handle and submit your cards. So you can do more collecting and leave the chore of grading to us. So don't sit on grading your cards. Get them submitted today at Grand Slam, where grading's made easy. And speaking of grading, stay tuned for our hit from the shop. It's a customer card that they received back today from PSA.
Josh, did you say there was a question that somebody posted
Yes.
in the comments that you wanted to answer?
Yep. So Kyle Justin, the man with 2 first names, says, so I have a quick question. Sorry, it's off topic of your podcast. We don't mind. Does a pristine 10 gold label from BGS add value to a card? Is it considered equivalent to a PSA 10? Great question. It is not equivalent to a PSA 10. It is better. So black labels are the, what do they say? The pinnacle of grading. So
it's one of the things that is propping up BGS right now. Is that you can still chase that black label.
It's crazy, and we're a small shop, but in the 7 or 8 years I've been here doing this, I've seen less than 10 black labels in this store. Like, that's how hard it is.
True rarity is what that brings.
And it's a shame that, if PSA was smart, it's probably too late now, but if they could do some sort of true 10,
they'd make a lot of money on resubmitting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. People that got regular 10s would maybe submit for that super 10, whatever they would call it. But like I said, I think it's too late now though, because there's a lot of PSA 10s that are probably super 10s in there, and it should. And how do you deal with that now? You can't really. So credit to Beckett, they thought of it long ago, and it's because they do those 4 subgrades. Because they're in their mind, they're like, well, if 3 of those 4 subgrades are 10s, then it's a 10, but it's not perfect. Right. But what if all 4 of the subgrades are 10s? Boom. Now it's perfect, and now it's a black label. So great question. I've seen some crazy black labels at the big shows. You go and you'll find some nutty who's like Luka Doncic rookie auto that's a black label, and it's just Ohtani black label that's just nuts.
All right, Jacob, what's our first story? We're gonna pick through these pretty quickly, but what's the first one? This one has been a card that we've talked about on the show. Play the video. I thought this was pretty cool. So
this collector just gets scammed for nearly $500,000. This is the story of why you can't be too careful. This is Steve, and he goes by the name Diamond Card Collector on Instagram. And you probably already know who this is. Over the last few years, Steve has acquired most of the best Tom Brady cards on the planet. One of the guys Steve has bought a bunch of big cards from is this guy right here. Their dealings go back at least a couple of years. They've done several $100,000 worth of business, and they've had absolutely no problems. So when Steve got a message with this image, he was over the moon, because this is the Tom Brady card Steve was most hoping to find. The 2012 Prism Black Finite 1 of 1. And to many Tom Brady collectors, it's one of the best cards in the world. This guy told Steve that he knew the owner and he might be able to get it at the right price. They were able to agree on a deal at $650,000, with half being paid up front. But after Steve sent payment, he started to feel very uneasy about the deal, because not only did the owner request payment to a foreign bank account, but he was taking too much time to send a card with such a high value. After a few days, the seller dropped the package at FedEx, and Steve was excited and nervous when it arrived. Then came the moment of devastation. When Steve opened the package with his wife watching, the only thing inside was an empty top loader. But before you guess what may have happened to the card, there's something else you should see first. After Steve let the community know that the card may have been stolen in the mail, several card experts found some inconsistencies in the 2 images, which brought into question whether the seller ever had the card in the first place. This is the first image of the card sent to Steve, and this is the second on top of the FedEx wrapping. Now, if we crop the images of the cards and resize them to the exact same pixels, what do you see? Watch the Patriot logo in the upper left. Does it look to you like it moves not only in size, but in placement as well? This has caused many collectors to believe that not only did the card never even make it into the package, but it was only an AI or photoshopped image to begin with. Let me know in the comments what you think's going on here.
Yeah, we've talked about it from day one. This card's never surfaced, and for it to magically surface is a little weird, although it's got Oh, I'm frozen, but
I thought you're a bit like a ventriloquist.
I was impressed.
but you can still hear my voice.
Yes.
So, yeah, and it's like, does it look like the logo moves? No, it doesn't look like it. It does move. It's in two different spots. So, yeah, that's crazy. And man,
And the money involved in this,
Yeah.
it's reckless from the buyer. I'm sorry, that's reckless.
Well, Josh, I know you like to read the comments. Do you want to read that top comment there?
scam, the story of one collector.
No, that's the description. The one below.
How can you pay 650 but you can't pay 500 for a flight and a half day? I was about to just say, for that card, I'm probably flying wherever I need to go to get it.
Of course. It's reckless. Why would you do it?
Yeah. And
There's no reason.
I'll say this without naming any names. He probably doesn't watch it. We've bought cards from the same person over a period of time that's all legit. And then one time there was a Jordan rookie graded PSA card that right before we paid for, huge money for, it just didn't look right, didn't feel right. And we looked at it closer. I scanned the label. It took me to the PSA page for the card. And I was like, well, it takes us to the label. The barcode is right. Then I'm like, wait, if it's fake, you could just fake the barcode to take you to a real one. So now I'm like, it just smelled funny. The deeper we dug, the PSA slab didn't have some of the telltale things that a PSA slab has. And so with respect to the seller, we said, just makes us a little uneasy. It's missing some things. We're going to pass. But we were that close to a very expensive Jordan rookie. But we bought from him and previously from him without issues and everything fine. So in this case, could have been a case where that guy got taken too. Sometimes they're just the middleman and they've gotten taken. I've bought Mickey Mantle signed baseballs from, some old guy that's as honest as the day is long, and he's had it at his house for 20 years, and he got it 20 years ago from a guy, and it was fake back then, and he just assumed it was real. So now 20 years later, he sells it to us, and you'd say, this guy would never sell me a fake ball. He doesn't realize he's selling a fake ball. So you just got to be super careful. And when it comes to huge money, you got to be super careful.
And when this flashed across my feed, I was like, holy mackerel. We've been talking about this card for as long as we've been doing the podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, it was one of those cards. Yeah.
I was instantly jealous and infuriated that I didn't know this card was out there.
Yeah.
Because as far as everyone knew, that card has not been spotted in the wild. So here's what I would say. If someone rolled up and was trying to sell me that card, pretending I have money that could buy it, I'd say, where did this get pulled from? I'd want the story. Did it just get pulled? Have you had it for a long time? What's the backstory? What shop had this? Did you record opening it? I would want to just know all those fun questions.
That's where tag comes into play with stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably sitting in a shoebox in the back corner of Tom Brady's closet.
There's good point, Sleeve it. You can't buy common sense. But it's either long gone, sitting in some binder in some attic of a kid that moved off to college and hasn't kept an eye out, or there's a lot of 2012 Prism product out there that hasn't been opened yet. It's still sitting in one of those boxes, perhaps.
That's crazy. Well, that card, it might be able to make it into this next stack of cards that we're about to look at.
That was crispy.
It's probably not the same sort of vintage, no pun intended. But Jacob, show this video.
If you're jealous, if you get jealous easily, turn it off right now.
Yeah,
This will
this
make you
is
jealous.
crazy. I mean,
There's the PSA 10 Mantle rookie, PSA
33 Gaudy.
9s and the Gaudis. That's just nuts.
And the last card in here. If you guys are just listening and not catching it, just keep this on loop here. And you're catching this on audio. This is a post from Sports Card Investor, and then he ended up interviewing this guy the next day. So this was to set up that interview. But we're talking, I think the title of the video when he interviewed him, it was 200 million was the collection. Now this stack is a good chunk of that. I mean, this is crazy.
If not the majority of it. Yeah. I like
never mind. I rescind my comment. The Brady doesn't belong in the stack.
No, unfortunately. I'm frozen again. This ain't a good sign when I got a break coming up. But,
this guy was actually on that Golden TV show on Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah, he owns the Diamondbacks. I mean, he just sneaks past the Mantle 10, right? Is one of 3 Mantle 10s. He just, second one in the stack. Gem Mint 10, 52 Topps Mantle. Just sure.
The thing that bothers me is he has them stacked up the same exact way that I have a few low-level Star Wars Chrome slabs on my computer.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
The award for the best comment goes to, so the video is titled Greatest Stack Ever. And one of the comments says, I have a stack of PSA 10 Will Greers that say otherwise.
It's always in the comments. But anyway, let's move on to this next one. This was a pretty funny post that Jacob found and threw in our chat.
This is my crazy stat.
Is it your crazy stat?
Sure. No, we'll do it here, but
let's do it.
I contributed.
So go ahead and read this one, Jacob, since it's yours.
It's a post by Dale Earnhardt Jr. on Facebook. He says, when I sign a box of Panini America for them, sometimes I take a card after I've signed it and let the kids draw on it or write their names. If there's another driver, like a combo card, I will sign over their face or draw them a mustache. I've drawn funny faces on my Hendrick teammates many times. I've yet to see one of these in the wild. I wonder if Panini throws them out or if anyone has ever pulled one from a pack.
If Panini is throwing these things out and not putting them in the wild, that's why they're getting the crap kicked out of them right now.
I can't imagine they would throw those out.
We saw a couple weeks ago, I think it was, the Kevin Owens from Topps Chrome WWE. There was like 30 different one-of-one inscriptions on the cards. He was writing anything and everything.
I love it.
Did you see WWE even highlighted that on one of their advertisements or commercials on SmackDown or Raw? It was they were, they do a little commercial, say, hey, grab your WWE superstars in this year's Topps Chrome product, and they showed Kevin Owens a picture of the ones he signed with his funny inscriptions on there. So even they were pointing that out.
And the crazy part about it is, like, even though how we feel about breaking, like, that makes people want to buy the Kevin Owens spot more than past boxes because of just whatever could be written on there.
It's so smart. So smart. Well, speaking of WWE, look at that professional segue. Pull up this next story. And I think I dropped this into the chat. But before that, I asked who Travis Scott was before I dropped this into the chat.
I'm right there with you.
So The Rock, Travis, and Cena unite for historic triple autograph. Hit the slide over there.
This is probably like the biggest story or biggest like on TV change since what? Hogan in '96?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Like importance. John Cena, after they officially announced it was a Guinness World Record broke today. For the first time in like 21 years, he is now a bad guy as of this past Saturday.
Yeah.
So in the wrestling world, this is a big deal. This card's a big deal.
Well, yeah. I mean, him turning heel is a big deal. The card would be more of a big deal for any collectors that are also. Yeah, I mean,
This gets
I've
WWE
had
collectors and pop culture collectors, music collectors.
yeah.
Just takes a rare card and makes it that much more valuable. Even though, like Travis Scott, if you go back and watch it, he kind of was like the odd man out in the shoot, but
he was in the ring when it happened, so he'll be forever tied to it. I know a lot of people like wrestling podcasts that I listen to and stuff. They were like, Travis Scott being in there made this worse. And the comments there, Travis Scott ruins the cards. I mean, he does. For wrestling purists, we don't need him in there.
No.
It does dampen the product and dampen the what happened, but he was in there, and so he'll be forever tied to it. And so you got to have him in the card, I guess. But
to me, this is ultimate Hollywood rock. Like, we had Hollywood rock back in the day. This is like true megastar rock. Now Cena's getting into the whole Hollywood stuff. Who's somebody else is pretty big in Hollywood? Travis Scott. And it doesn't hurt to have some sort of like celebrity attachment to something this big. Just gets them more publicity.
yeah,
And with Travis Scott now doing the theme song for Raw to start off their time on Netflix, he's been popping up a few times now.
yeah, I would just say 80% of wrestling fans are they just don't want him in there. But you're right.
Wrestling fans are like Star Wars fans a lot.
Yeah,
they're not really pleased.
But we're not wrong. Did you, on that same note, did you hear that, in the episode, obviously it's fake, but Travis Scott actually hurt Cody Rhodes when they were beating on him, ruptured his eardrum.
The heck out of
Yeah.
What?
So I heard that. I'm like, please tell me they're going to now stop using him for safety reasons at very minimum, or even just a punishment. You can't have non-trained fake fighters in there trying to fake it, because there's an art to it, and he obviously doesn't have the art down, because he bruised his face and ruptured his eardrum fake hitting him.
Gosh.
But you got to also take into account what was said right before this went down. I think we'll leave it at that. Very shocking times in wrestling.
I don't remember what was said.
What Cody told Rock.
Oh, yeah. Told him to go blank himself. And
so if you guys had to put a number, we just had The Rock. We covered this last week. The Rock Superfractor sell for what we thought, and we were right, it was probably going to be over six figures. Where does this card get to?
At least that. I would say $100,000, right? Because this is the Cena heel turn.
Wow.
The only event that you could compare it to in wrestling terms is, or I guess like Superman turning bad, essentially.
Yeah.
For the wrestling world. That's how big of a deal it is.
Hogan's heel turn would be on this level, I think. Hogan was the All-American good guy forever. Cena, All-American good guy forever. I've just never liked Cena, so to me I really loved the fact they did it, but I'm just like, it's John Cena. Maybe I'll like him a little bit more now, but we'll see.
They leaned so much into Cena being a good guy that Cena was pressured into announcing how many Make-A-Wishes he did because he didn't want it to be public knowledge, and they convinced him, hey, do it. It'll get more people to hop on board with it. So he has done like nearly 700. Second place is like not even 300. So he's just like the ultimate good guy. And as soon as this happened on Saturday night, I think it was either Sunday or Monday morning, they trademarked Break-A-Wish.
Smart.
I mean, you got to lean into it.
Yep.
Tune in next week to our WWE podcast.
I love it. All right. Let's move to the last story in the lineup here. This is the cover story for the episode. Gary Vee, who is probably responsible for the resurgence of the hobby to many people. And if you're not familiar with Gary Vee, I was familiar with his books. The first book that I read of his was, I think it was like Jab, 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 Right Hook or Left Hook. I have to find it. marketing genius, has put it out there that he wants to own the Jets one day, and came from humble beginnings and has just worked his tail off and has built this empire. But I think it was in like 2017 was the first time he went public about sports cards.
I can,
go ahead.
So I can say that I would credit him with that COVID era boom a little bit, because here's how naive I am. When people would talk about the hobby exploding at that time, and I'm kind of like, what brings you into the shop? You know, like, I'm getting back into what gets you back. What's getting you into this hobby? They would say, well, Gary Vee. They would all talk about how Gary Vee was talking about this is another form of investing, and that this is going to be a market that's going to explode, and y'all should look into this. And I thought Gary Vee was, and you'll laugh, Dick Vitale. He's the basketball. Hey, the basketball guy, right? He's that guy. I thought his name was Gary Vee, Gary Vitale. So in my head, I'm thinking that guy, and I'm like, he has a podcast, or he's out there commenting on basketball and pumping this hobby. That's odd. But I learned later who Gary Vee actually was. And so he deserves a ton of credit for the way this hobby has boomed.
He does. Well, him and his team a few years ago came out with VeeFriends. I can't remember if it was the first or the second release that was tied to the whole NFT boom that we saw for a few years. He had a very, very big presence at the National that you and I went to, Josh. Big old booth. In fact, some of his VeeFriend cards were part of the VIP package that we got, and people were trying to collect those.
I still have mine.
I do too. I actually got mine graded, and it's sitting in the box back there. But he is coming out with a new release, and check this out. He is actually collaborating with Topps Fanatics, and this is going to be a Topps Chrome release. Pretty exciting stuff. We just brought up this article. It says Topps VeeFriends announced new multi-year partnerships or partnership, and wanted to get your thoughts on this, guys. And I think we have. If you could drop in the comments the link to sign up to be notified when this drops. This drops on May 7th. And it's going to be, that's sort of an early release notification you'll get. And it's going to be, it's going to be just like all the other Topps releases. There's going to be a pre-release that you can sign up for. And then a couple weeks later, it'll be in shops. Now, Josh, I don't know if you've gotten a heads up about this, that as a Topps direct store, have you?
Not yet. I'm hoping, though. It's not. That doesn't mean that I won't. I mean, I very well may still get offered some of this. I haven't gotten offered any of it yet. I will pre-order it if we get offered it for sure. Were you with me at the National? Was that the year that one of my customers wanted me to grab something from the VeeFriends booth? Were you with me that year?
Yes.
So let me tell that quick story. Before I left to the National, one of the customers comes in and he says, "Hey, when you're up there, go by the VeeFriends booth and get me something from, I'm big into VeeFriends, get me something from their booth." I didn't know what VeeFriends was, but I'd kind of heard about it. I knew it was backed by Gary Vee. So I was like, yeah, I'll see what they got. So we go there, and I go to the VeeFriends booth to look and maybe find just a little trinket or knickknack or collectible that I can bring him back. And Gary Vee was at the booth with this little marketing team, and they were doing interviews, and they were videotaping him opening up packs, and then he'd sign a few of the cards and hand them out to the people that were right there. And I was looking in the case to get my customer something, and they had these really cool, colorful VeeFriends play mats. And so I was like, told one of the employees, the booth was booming too. And I told one of the employees. I said, I'll buy this one here. So I got the mat, and we were getting ready to leave. And I was like, you know what? He'd be happy if I bought him this mat, but let's see if we can make it even better. And so he was busy doing his picture posing with his little film crew that was filming him. And as they got done and wrapped up, before he was getting ready to leave, he just happened to look over at me, and I'm standing there like this with this VeeFriends playmat that I really didn't care much about because I didn't know anything about the product. But in his eyes, I'm a VeeFriends collector standing there with one of his playmats, and I kind of mouthed to him really quickly, like, will you sign this? And he's like, yeah, come here. So I came over there, and he signs it, Gary Vee, on the thing. So when I got back to the shop, I texted the customer, and I was like, hey, I was able to get you a little trinket from the VeeFriends booth. Come into the shop and pick it up. And when he got there, not only was he like, I've been wanting one of these play mats. I can't believe you got it. And then it was signed by Gary Vee himself. So that was my fun Gary Vee story. And it was really cool because he did private message me on Instagram about this with a little video blurb that they had recorded and probably sent out to a lot of shops. But then he did send a little note after that personally. And then we connected with them and chatted with his guys. And so, I thought that was really cool. So we'll definitely be backing it at the shop here and talking about it and vouching for, man, that VeeFriends booth. This was 2 years ago. That VeeFriends booth was popping. So,
I was able to carve out some time. They carved out some time with me yesterday, and just wanted to get sort of some context here. Because admittedly, this has not been on my radar, but apparently VeeFriends, they've got cartoons that feature, I think there's 250 characters. They've got cartoons. They've got comics that are actually in the Sunday newspapers, and they've got wide distribution, because what they want to do is they want kids to fall in love with the characters through storytelling, and then go and seek out these cards.
Yeah.
Which is a model that, I don't know, it's a small brand. I don't know if you've heard of it, but like Pokemon, they sort of do that, right?
Yeah.
They fall in love with these characters. There's a tremendous IP around the characters, and that's what they're setting that groundwork. And I couldn't be more excited about this. It is going to follow the same pattern that Topps Chrome follows. So all the same parallels. There are going to be autos. Gary Vee is going to have some autos in this product, which is super cool.
Yeah, that's going to make it chaseable right there.
Absolutely. And it's not just Gary Vee. Other entrepreneurs that he rolls with are going to have autographs in this product as well. There's going to be inserts. There's going to be sketch cards. Really, really thoughtful the way they did this. And we just talked about this at the top of the show, that one of the things that is driving the hobby and making this hobby great is Topps fanatics being intentional about resonating with the collector. And the fact that they decided to do this collab with Gary, excited for it.
I don't know. I don't have a ton of Gary Vee experience, but he seems genuinely, like, in the interactions I've had with him, a genuine good dude, like very kind and nice.
He is.
So even better.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're showing some of the cards and what they look like. They're very, very skewed towards kids. The artwork, you could see how, and they also have a children's book coming out that teaches life lessons and teaches how these characters overcome adversity. So really excited about that. We need more of that. Can you drop some of the photos that they texted to us, Jacob? I think we put that in the chat. So
I'll say too, even though it's geared at kids, I guess you could put Pokemon in the same group.
Absolutely.
That booth was booming with adults and college aged and young adults.
Yes.
Like Pokemon does.
So here's a
very, 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 very lucky black cat.
and then I think there was some artwork of the box.
That one
in
might
the
be my
cat.
favorite
There it
character.
is.
That's my favorite character so far. The very, very, very,
Very,
very lucky black
And
cat.
so on the screen, if you guys are just listening, there's also sort of a mock-up of what a hobby box is going to look like. The retail box is what that's going to look like. I mean, this is going to I can't see how this wouldn't do well in like a Walmart or Target, because
it's going to do
this
well.
this is going to be highly visible, and so
I think his
looking forward to it.
his niche followers will gobble this up
Yeah,
and get it from wherever they can get it, you know?
absolutely. So, guys, chime in. Is this something, now that we've put this on your radar, is this something that you're looking forward to? Seeing what it does, are you going to sort of hang back? I asked him, I said, you know, the challenge that Josh has sometimes with the Lorcana product is that people love the product but won't show up for the tournaments, because VeeFriends does have a TCG arm to it. And so I asked him if this is a thing, this is sort of an offshoot from that. And they assured me that it's all related. It's still the same brand, but they're really leaning into the storytelling aspect of it to get some emotional buy-in from people around the characters. So super excited about that. So Josh, I know you got this break coming up. You promised us a pretty juicy hit from the shop.
Yes.
What's that look like?
Let me grab it really quick here. This was a card. How about this? This might be easier. Let me quickly send the pictures to y'all in the group, Jacob. I want to send the card first that the customer brought in. I wish I could say this. The first one I just sent you, Jacob, is the card. The customer brought it in, pulled it out of a Walmart blaster.
Shame.
No shame. Just I wish it came from Grand Slam. But so there it is. It's a gold, true gold to 50, 2022 Topps Chrome Bobby Witt rookie auto. And the young man had it, came in with his parents, wanted to grade it. I looked at this thing just with my amateur grading eyes. I looked at it and I was like, this thing is perfect.
Yeah.
And so we expressed it off for the customer, received it back today. Jacob showed the next picture, and lo and behold, it got a 10. And so this is a huge card.
That's a monster card.
Yeah. I've got them a buyer already for it. They're thinking about it. They're going to talk about it. Come talk to me on Friday. But it's thousands of dollars, of course.
And Topps was having some real quality control issues with this year. 2022 was a bad year for quality control. So for them to get a 10 on this, man, that is a gorgeous card.
Yeah, pretty awesome. So thought that would be a good one to show off during the podcast. And congrats to that young man and his family. They're about to have a nice payday if they sell it. So.
Awesome. Well, guys, if you've
I do have to go back to one comment we missed when we showed the video, the Tom Brady video, and the guy said, "This is probably the biggest Tom Brady collector in the world." This comment here from Stephen Hord's Cards, he said, "This guy doesn't know about Josh."
He does not.
Stephen. I wish that were the case. Thank you for the vote of confidence.
Well, guys, if you have made it this far, we appreciate it. Don't forget, leave a like, comment, subscribe, leave a review. Let us know how you like it, how you like what we're doing. And even if you don't, we love those too.
Don't comment and say, I really like the evening podcast again. You should do that because my evenings are never free. So I had to skip church tonight for this one.
Well, Josh, take us out with crazy stat of the week. I know you got a good one.
I will. So I think I have two because I saved them along the road. I have three. One is like Jacob. I'm gonna text this one to you really fast because you have to see it. It's kind of creepy. So Jacob, I just sent that to you. Maybe throw that one up. Or actually, while you're doing that, let me talk about the other one because you don't have to see this one. In MLB history, the only pitcher to pitch in 70 regular season wins in 1 year is Tyler Rogers. He did it for the Giants in 2021. The only pitcher to pitch in 70 regular season wins in 1 year.
So he wasn't the winning pitcher. He just pitched in a win.
Pitched in a game where the Giants won, I assume.
Wow.
So 70 games in a season. Thought that was pretty cool. Jacob popped the other one up there. This is a stat comparing Bryce Harper and Manny Machado. I think they both entered the league at the same time, if I remember right. But yeah, they entered this at the same time. So look at that. They were both born in 92. So they're both 30. They're both 6'3". They're both drafted in 2010, both drafted first round, debuted in 2012, debut age 19 for both. Career home runs is only 3 off. Career batting average is only 1 point off. SF, what am I missing there? What's SF stand for? Whatever it means, they're only 1 off of that. Their postseason hits are nearly identical. Home runs, nearly identical. RBIs, identical. IBBs, identical. All-Star game stats, same amount of All-Star game 6, same amount of at-bats, same amount of hits, same amount of singles, same amount of doubles, same batting average, and same slugging percentage. That's crazy and creepy at the same time. Manny Machado, Bryce Harper.
And I bet, without looking at this, and this is why sometimes the hobby is a popularity contest, right?
Yep.
If you'd asked 100 people who has better stats without looking at this, everybody would say Bryce Harper.
Yeah. Or if you even just said, who's a better player?
Yeah.
Bryce Harper,
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one, if you're watching, is crazy to see it. I tried to run it down so you could. And then the last one I have is the title of this stat says, collecting the biggest baseball coincidences ever. Please contribute. I'll start. This person says, Chris Davis, he was a player for the A's. In 2015, his batting average was 247. In 2016, at the end of the season, his batting average was 247. 2017, 247. In 2018, 247. For 4 straight years, he batted exactly 247. You could say he's pretty much a 247 hitter.
Pretty much.
Thought that one was a crazy one. So,
all right, guys. Well, Josh, I know it's been a long day, and you got the break after this. Appreciate you, Jacob. Good to have you back. And guys, we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Yep.
Bye.
Stay tuned. 2 minutes. We're breaking. Come back and see us.